Maher called out CNN's Kaitlan Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
Both parties will have Elizabeth Warren on one night, we'll have Ted Cruz on another night.
People are freaking. You know what? I opened the window today. The sun was still shining. The birds were still singing. My gardener was packing for Mexico. You guys at CNN just report the news straight. And the crowd burst into...
But CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, you know, my show is evidence of that. We have
laughter. Look, I'm on CNN now. I guess we're on it right now.
have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz on another.
CNN just got called out on live TV, and the audience erupted. Bill Maher, a longtime liberal, just flipped the script on Kaitlan Collins and CNN, and they weren't ready for it. He didn't just stop at exposing the network's bias. He took on woke culture, Biden's leadership, and even his own audience. The craziest part, even conservatives are agreeing with him. From calling out the hypocrisy of the left to putting Ben Shapiro in the spotlight, Maher is sending a clear message, and it's one that many liberals don't want to hear. But let's break this all down, because what happened next left everyone stunned. It all started when Bill Maher confronted CNN's Kaitlan Collins. Collins proudly claimed that CNN is a place where both sides can watch the news. She even tried to defend the network by pointing out that they've hosted politicians from both parties, like Ted Cruz and Elizabeth Warren.
Other night, I think lawmakers from both parties should take questions, and you should push both of them. But on CNN being
is the last allowable prejudice that we can have in this country. You can always do the age joke.
A place of credibility. I mean, look at what just happened in Chicago. We had 300 people from CNN on the ground covering that convention.
You can always rail on people for being too old. And it was, as I said, a case-by-case basis.
But Maher wasn't buying it. He reminded her of the moment when Stephen Colbert praised CNN for reporting just the news, and the entire audience burst into laughter. That reaction spoke louder than anything else. And Maher wasn't done. He bluntly asked Collins, "How do you guys think you're actually doing?" Her response, a long-winded defense of CNN's reporting, saying they put resources behind things and bring a level of news that you don't get anywhere else. But here's the real kicker. Even CNN's own viewers aren't convinced anymore. Now, Maher isn't some conservative warrior, far from it. But that's what makes his next move even more surprising. He turned his attention to Trump, mocking his attempts to align himself with Christian voters. Maher reminded everyone of the infamous moment when Trump referred to 2 Corinthians as 2 Corinthians. He joked that it sounded more like the setup to a bad bar joke. 2 Corinthians walk into a bar. But the biggest laugh came when Maher pointed out something no one else was willing to say. Jesus was from the Middle East. Trump wouldn't even let him into the country. The crowd roared. But while Maher was going after Trump, he was about to drop a bomb on his own side, too. Bill Maher has been warning Democrats for years that they're making a huge mistake with Joe.
TF. Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent. I've read your tweets like about Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Now, I have some problems with her too, but you would vote for Trump over her. Mortgage and no more policing or incarceration. Declaring that capitalism is slavery.
Biden. He compared Biden to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, saying both of them stayed in power too long and ultimately hurt their own party. And he didn't hold back. I've always said ageism is the last acceptable prejudice. But sometimes the case is clear. Biden is too old for this job. His prediction, Biden is going to cost the Democrats dearly. And judging by his approval ratings, he might not be wrong. But this next moment took the conversation in an unexpected direction. If you told someone a few years ago that Bill Maher's audience would be cheering for Ben Shapiro, they would have laughed in your face. But that's exactly what happened. During their debate, Shapiro said something that made the audience take notice. "I'd vote for Trump over Kamala Harris because at least I know what I'm getting." Even Maher had to admit that he understood where Shapiro was coming from. They both agreed that Harris often speaks in word salads and that the Democratic Party is drifting further into political insanity. And the craziest part? The audience was on Shapiro's side. It was clear. The left is losing its grip on its own people.
2 Corinthians walk into a bar.
Maher called out CNN's Kaitlan Collins on the network's bias. Let's watch.
He also once accepted Jesus Christ as his personal Lord and Tailor.
Maher didn't stop there. He took a direct shot at woke politics and the radical shift happening in America's cities. He called out policies in places like San Francisco, where shoplifting has basically been decriminalized. Normal people see that and think Democrats have lost their minds. Even Ted Cruz looks sane compared to that. Then he pulled up a tweet from a Democratic lawmaker saying, "Cancel rent, cancel mortgage, no more police, and no more incarceration." Maher's response: at this point, the Democratic Party has gone from the party of FDR and JFK to the party of LOL and WTF. And the crowd loved it. But nothing highlighted Maher's frustration with the left more than his exchange with a college student. A young man stood up and said, "I'm a black gay man, so I'm always in uncomfortable spaces." Maher's reaction? What are you even talking about? He called out how college students are being taught to feel oppressed rather than being challenged to think critically. The audience didn't know how to react. But the message was clear: Maher is done playing along with woke nonsense. And for the first time, even conservatives are starting to see him as one of the few liberals willing to tell the truth. Bill Maher just proved something huge. Even if you're a Democrat, even if you've spent years defending the left, at some point, reality catches up. From CNN to college campuses, Maher is exposing the insanity happening in his own party. And people are finally starting to wake up. But what do you think? Is Bill Maher right about the left? Or is he just another TV personality trying to stay relevant? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Because this conversation, it's far from over.